Ugh. It's too late and it's too early. Somebody reposted something Tommy wrote on Facebook. And I remembered, kind of. But they were like, you play out every single experience. I don't know how it happens. I just know that for me it happened with weed. I don't. Maybe, well, some people have this with. Just comes lovingly out of the blue and they get sucked into like the witnessing of that. And in some incomprehensible way, you literally play out. And I wouldn't say every single lifetime, like of all the other people, but you play out all of your possibilities. Like as your mind runs through possibilities, you literally like live them out. And you don't at the same time. That's how it was with me. All of them. Good, bad, ugly, horrifying, the most disgusting thing you can think of, the best thing you can think of. And of course, the whole time this is happening, you're trying to like run away from the experience mentally. And that is just one of, as soon as that thought hits, that becomes interwoven into the whole thing. And you're trying to, or I am trying to find out how to where am I in all this hubbub that's happening, and what's going on, and how do I slow it down or stop it or do something with it, right? Is there any control, or is that just a big tremendous joke at some point in the thing, And this stuff, like this linearity thing, it's very, very difficult to describe what and why it happens in the first place. And it's also difficult to describe the other, like experiencing all of it, what and why, like what it is, why it is, what is your place in it while you're experiencing that. It's impossible. It's just absolutely impossible. And when you see the depth of it while you're in it, living through all that shit, it's like stuff that was confusing, and you can't wrap your mind around what you're doing here in this particular thread, and your brain has been blocked off for some reason, like that. Just like one level into that giant ball of yarn that you start unraveling at a rapid rate, you're like, oh, okay, like the connection is made and it's fully understood in a snap of, like just a snap of the finger. You go through like revelation after revelation after revelation after revelation, and time is completely gone. And it's overwhelming is a bad word, but it's overwhelming, and impossible, absolutely impossible to describe. And to come back to this reality after that, waiting for dude to pass. Gotta make sure Matrix not fucking with me. Matrix fucked with me big time yesterday. Yes, there was trollish comments, which is fine, but the weirder thing was that I was delivering a bunch of people, and I know I'm getting off tangent, but there isn't really there's nothing to say about that anyway. Dude's walking back and forth. He's probably getting ready to go on his dive into everything. He's worried about it. Delivering a bunch of people. 3 other people in the car. And I had the windows down. I was in Financial District. And we came up to a stoplight. There's this dude on the sidewalk. It's a normal looking black dude, like not like a ghetto black dude, just a regular. He looked like a well-to-do black dude. And he was dressed well. He could have had some sort of business casual on, if I remember right. He had sunglasses on. And I glanced at him. And this dude does a double take when he sees me. And he started walking toward the car while he's like slowly lowering his shades, and he's like trying to, and he yelled like as loud as he could. He's like, "What's wrong, dude? What's wrong with your lip?" And he didn't say dude, because that would have been like sort of a normal thing to say. He just said, "What's wrong with your lip?" And he started like pointing to his lip or touching his own lip. And he kept walking toward me, and he kept saying the same thing really loud. Like if FiDi wasn't populated with zombies that didn't care about anything, then they would have probably been curious to know what the hubbub was about. Because he was like screaming it. And this had never happened to me as far as I remember in this particular line, in this particular life thread. So I had no reference with which to gauge this by, and it was uncomfortable, if anything. And I was like, nothing. You know, I was in confusion mode, and I was hoping that nothing was wrong with my lip. Because that's, you know, having a stranger do that, who doesn't appear to be a crackhead or off his rocker, just look like a regular dude, is disconcerting. Disconcerting, yeah. So I said nothing and drove on. And everybody in the car paid no mind to that situation. And everybody outside paid no mind to that situation. And was the weirdest shit ever. Not really weird as per this realm goes, but in my mind, where I remember a regular sort of something or other where that would have been unusual, it's weird. But that was the start to the day being kind of fucked. And, you know, you have to understand that fucked is a relative term. It's very relative. So this is light end of the lighter spectrum of fucked. Because, like I said in the other video, things, as you're trying to purify, then things affect you more than before. And then I got some troll comments on the channel, and Aphrodite stirring the pot for no reason, or maybe there was a reason, doesn't matter. But little things added up, and somebody started talking about a lisp, and I started talking about my teeth, and all these things interweave themselves So the dude talking about my lip, and then other people talking about physical appearances, and me somehow talking about my teeth. All of those somehow weave together to create the thread for today, for me. It's not today anymore, it's tomorrow, from yesterday's perspective. But the tangent has been finished, I suppose. Back into the everything happening thing. Fun time. Yeah, that's what Tommy was saying. He was saying, well, he was using it to talk about Yaldabaoth, basically, or the infant god. The Yaldabaoth normally, well, he's not described as an infant god in what's available about him. He's described as a malformed godchild, and that's what was attributed all of this bullshit that you see around us. But Tommy was saying it's an infant god, and you're that. Like, you're experiencing one thread of that god mind as it seeks and explores all aspects of its being, right? And is it possible, I guess what I'm exploring my own self right now is no, there's not an end to it. It just goes. there's no end to that exploration. I mean, there's some sort of finality at some point, because you do run through all the options, and there are two things. There's like explosion that happens, and the you know, the multiple U's or whatever that come into some supernova, and then there's silence, and that's peace. Like that's the Jesus peace, or the Christ peace, after you've been on the cross. And I have a feeling this is kind of what Lovett is, the feeling state that Lovett refers to. I don't get too deeply into what she's saying. I don't get too deeply into the Jesus Christ thing, but when you're doing this thing, you go through all of it. So you go find out what Jesus was about, and you live it really fast, like in fast forward mode. And then when you come back from something like that, say to one of the threads, then you carry within you the knowledge of what Jesus was and why. Because all the folklore, all the myths that are out there, there is some actual experience, thread that accounts for the reality of that particular storyline, that particular narrative within the ball of yarn. So, and everybody here that is a so-called real person is the whole thing as well, in that fashion. And they either have or have not sort of had that flash I don't know what the word is for it, but that experience where you live through all the threads. But if you do that and come back as an individual thread, then you're in the perspective of just laughing at everything, because you know it's all irrelevant, and you know it's all relevant as well. Like, it's just funny, because in the experience there's nothing to do. There's not a you to do the thing, but there's the experience that's happening, and it's almost like, you know, it's torturous, and you just take every single adjective that you could possibly think of, put it up to the top, put it up down to the bottom, line it all up, and it happens perfectly. You can't say that it happens in some strange way or some odd way. Yes, there's parts of it are horrifying, but like I said, take every you're living through every single word. You're living through every single possibility. As soon as it hits your mind, you live it out. Maybe it's fast, maybe it's slow. I don't know. It has no relevance to this, like this. And that's why I don't talk a lot, because there's nothing to say. When you've had that, then there's literally nothing to say whatsoever. And yes, you find compassion, because what else are you gonna do? Nobody comes out of that thing, or some version of that, even if you just get like a divine glimpse into it. You don't come out of that and want to be the devil character, you know, like you know why that character is there, but you don't sit there and be like, oh, I really want to play that guy. So anyway, those are some 2 a.m. thoughts for y'alls.